Assistant Professor in the Training and Grooming Department, Techno India University. And today I have with me two wonderful, bright youngsters who are currently students of Jadavpur University and who have secured top ranks in the West Bengal Joint Entrance Examination 2023. Shinjan Roy and Vedatroyee Pal. Shinjan, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you for the introduction. I'm Shinjan Roy. I secured a rank of 55 in WBJEE and I am currently pursuing computer science in Jadavpur University.
Hi Vedatroyee, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for inviting us. I secured a rank of 153 in WBJEE and I'm also studying in the CS department of Jadavpur University.
That's really brilliant. So now we are in the second week of April, and coincidentally, the onset of summer also marks the beginning of the examination system. Understandably, all of us, teachers and students alike, have a lot of apprehensions and queries around the upcoming examinations. We know that the West Bengal Joint Entrance Examination is scheduled on 28th of April, and there are barely 15 more days to go before the exam. So today Shinjan and Vedatroyee will answer all our queries to the best of their knowledge. So my first question to both of them is, first I would like to start with Vedatroyee. So what do you think are the various factors which helped you achieve this success, the various factors which worked in your favor?
Well, I'd say the factor which helped me most was regular studying under the guidance of my teachers. And I would also solve a lot of the papers of previous years. I think those two were the main factors which contributed to this result.
Thank you, Vedatroyee. What about you, Shinjan?
Yeah, so basically, with the entire exam season starting from January, we had all focused, on our studies for quite some time before WBJE, and focusing on the studies, following the guidance of the teachers, as Vedatroyee has already said, and well, solving the PYQs was a very big part of the preparations.
Okay, thank you, both of you. So, my next question is, what are the fundamental differences between board examinations of class 12 and the West Bengal Joint Entrance Examination? Shinjan?
Yeah, so the major difference between class 12 examination and WBJE would be the syllabus. Although the overall chapters and topics are the same, the depth of knowledge required is a bit different. And then also the other factor which comes into play during the examination itself is the time constraint. The WBJE, it's a lot more constrained by time, and every minute counts basically. But in the board examination, it is a bit more relaxed, and you have a lot more time to think about the questions and plan your way ahead.
Okay, so what you are saying is, number one, in-depth study is important for WBJEE, and the second thing is time management, which is very, very crucial. Okay, so Vedatroyee, now I would like to ask you, as Shinjan has stated the differences between board exams and the joint West Bengal joint entrance exams, how should the students tweak their approach towards preparation for WBJEE?
Well, I would say don't tweak your approach for the boards for the WBJ. In fact, if your fundamental concepts are clear, right now I think you should focus on solving as many previous year's questions as you can, because that will ultimately strengthen your grasp on the subjects.
Okay, okay. How important, Shinjan, do you think is proficiency in mathematics for aspiring engineers?
Yeah, mathematics is a very important subject in all of engineering. Even when you're giving the exams, it has the most weightage, and well, once you're pursuing the degree of engineering from, let's say, any course, any department of engineering, mathematics will play a very important role. Although the type of mathematics required in different departments will be different. Like you might not use the same mathematics in computer science, or let's say when you're studying, let's say, mechanical engineering. The type of mathematics might be different, but it will still require a lot of mathematics, whatever degree you're pursuing.
Okay, so what we understand is a good grasp of the fundamentals of mathematics is very important. Okay, Vedatroyee, just tell me what would be your advice for students passing out from other boards than West Bengal board, from ISC, CBSE or other state boards?
Well, I believe the syllabus of all the boards are more or less similar. However, the symbols, notations, and some commonly used letters might be different. So I would suggest that be careful while attempting the questions and make note of the letters that are given there.
So are the instructions given in a detailed manner in the question?
Yeah, they are.
Okay. And would you also recommend them going through the textbooks of West Bengal boards? Would that be helpful?
I think the previous year's questions of the WBJEE should be enough, because they also they'll give you a very good idea of what kind of questions are going to be there.
Okay. My next question is, what should be students' approach of preparation in these last 15 days? As Vedatroyee already mentioned, that solving previous year's question papers would be really helpful. Would you like to add anything more to that, Shinjan?
Not really, because when you have 15 days in hand, you can't really, devise an entirely new strategy, or, learn things that you are not very good at. So I'd say focus on what you already know, what subjects you are already strong in, and well, as Vedatroyee has said, focus on the past year questions. For getting to know the type of questions that might come in your examination, as well as the the weightage of the topics at hand. I think that will be enough at this point.
Okay, all right. What should be their time management and stress management strategies now, Vedatroyee?
Well, I would say again, use whatever you have been using till now, whatever time or stress management strategies you have been using till now and that you know will work for you. Use them, because there is no time right now to learn something new and implement it. So whatever you're already comfortable in, use those.
So, how did you manage stress?
Well, I listened to some music when I got stressed, and I took small breaks in between.
Yeah, that is very important. And what about you, Shinjan?
Yeah, so the main thing would not be to overburden yourself. Like, devise a strategy which leaves enough time for breaks. And, if you have, let's say, 12 hours at hand, do not go for, solving 4 3-hour papers. Like, that is not how you should do it. Leave enough time for breaks, set realistic goals, and well, for stress management, do whatever you're already familiar with. If it's listening to music, listen to some music. If you want to take a walk, go take a walk. If you want to talk to your friends, do it. Whatever helps you, I think it will help you even when you're preparing for the examination.
All right, thank you, Shinjan. You explained beautifully. So, my next question is, what would you do in order to secure a high rank in the WBJEE?
Well, I would say that practice questions, practice your concepts, the basic fundamental concepts, like go through the formulae, like create a formulae sheet, go through them, practice important questions. Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, the formula sheet is important. It's important to revise all the important theorems, rules, and to make a cheat sheet for that matter.
Yeah, make a
Correct.
formulae sheet and practice previous year's questions.
Okay, okay. So another problem we have during before the exams, a lot of students talk about an examination phobia. So how would you both suggest people sustaining their confidence levels during this time?
Yeah, so when you're preparing for an exam and giving the past year questions, and especially when you're timing yourself on the questions, it is easy to lose confidence and feel hopeless when you're unable to complete the questions on time or unable to uh, you know get the questions right. But it's important to not lose hope in yourself, because whatever you're doing, solving the past year questions, or let's say practicing questions on your own, it is important to note that this is not the examination you're giving, you're just preparing. And well, whatever mistakes you're making, or if you're, let's say, going through the questions too slow and not being able to complete on time, you can learn from those. So let's say you have a problem at hand and you are unable to solve it, and you find that you are not being able to solve many questions of the same kind. So that means you are lacking on that specific topic, and you can just go on and brush up on that topic. And again, if you're facing difficulties with time management, you can learn to solve questions a bit faster, and that will come with practice. So all I can say is focus on the PYQs at this point.
Oh, thank you. Vedatroyee, what do you think would help students in having confidence in themselves during this time? Because we know this is important as well. If we are losing confidence in ourselves, our performance won't be optimum.
Well, I would say if you have studied till now, you'll be okay. And I would say brush up on your fundamental concepts and just believe in yourself. Believe that you can do it, and as much as possible, practice and more practice. And like I said before, like make a formula sheet, go through it, and like Shinjan said, like practice. If you cannot solve something, go and brush up on it, or focus on your strengths, like focus on what you can solve instead of getting caught up in what you cannot.
That's something very important which Vedatroyee mentioned. Believe in yourself. Yes, we need to do that. Do you think, Vedatroyee, that group study with peers would be helpful in the last 15 days?
Again, if it is something you have done before and has worked for you, sure, go right ahead. But if it's something that you haven't done before, I would say like don't start experimenting now. If it has worked for you before, sure, go right ahead.
Okay, Shinjon, do you think it is important to take help from the mentors or from the teachers during this time?
Mentors and teachers, of course, they have a lot of experience and their guidance would definitely help. So yeah, be in touch with your teachers. If you are facing any difficulties, be sure to contact them. That did help me, and that will definitely help you.
Okay. My next question to both of you, I will start with Vedatroyee. Is it important to be well versed in each and every chapter for each of the three subjects, physics, chemistry, and mathematics, to secure a good rank?
Yes, I believe it's very important.
So every chapter is equally important. No one can skip out any chapter,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
What is your opinion, Shinjan?
Uh, well, different chapters do have different weightages in the exam, but the thing is, you can't predict the weightage from before. The weightage changes year to year, and then again, even if you're not, very proficient in every chapter, it is important to have a basic knowledge of every chapter and the basic formula that every chapter has, so you don't miss out on easy questions from the chapter. Like those will be scoring, and if you skip a chapter, there is a big chance that you miss out on easy questions from that chapter.
Okay, that was very helpful. Okay, tell me, in the 2023 examination, what was the chapter-wise marks distribution in mathematics?
In mathematics, most of the questions were not very difficult or very easy either. They were moderate, and I'd say there were a lot of questions from coordinate geometry, and also some a good number from integration and differential equations. But then again, I don't think these weightages would reflect in this year's examination, because weightages have changed a lot in the past. So, when you solve the past year questions, so you'll get an idea of what kind of questions are usually, supposed to come in the examination. Yeah, that's all.
Right, right. What was the chapter-wise distribution of marks in physics, Vedatroyee?
Well, as far as I remember, there were quite a few questions from statics, current, electricity, and electromagnetism. There were also quite a few questions from modern physics, as far as I remember. And again, as Shinjan said, it's not like hard and fast that this will be the marks distribution this time as well, and it changes, it varies a lot from year to year. I would suggest again go through the PYQ and see what kind of questions have come in the past years, and you'll get a very good idea of what might come.
Shinjan, what was the chapter-wise marks distribution in chemistry in 2023?
Yeah, so chemistry, as we all know, there is a big chunk from organic, and you can't really predict from what part of organic the questions come from. Like, there is a good mix of questions from all parts of organic chemistry, and there were also questions from very easy questions from physical chemistry relating to de Broglie wavelength and all. I think that's it. And also there was a good number of questions from equilibrium and that part of chemical kinetics, that part of physical chemistry as well.
Okay. Students, please note that both Shinjan and Vedatroyee mentions that solving the previous year's question papers is very, very important. So this is something which you should keep in mind. I would also like to know from both of you, I would go to Vedatroyee first, which are the books and websites you would recommend which will give students a good practice from where you practiced?
Well, I did my physics from H.C. Verma, my mathematics mostly from the PYQ, but some from ML Khanna as well. And I did inorganic chemistry from MS Chauhan, physical chemistry from P. Bahadur, and inorganic chemistry I did from NCRT.
Any websites, YouTube channels you would recommend?
I did not use them when I was preparing, but if you have something that you have found and you feel is good, feel free to continue using it.
All right. What about you, Shinjan?
So funnily enough, we used mostly the same books there, so I don't think I have anything to add.
Okay. So these books, students, I believe you have noted the books mentioned by Vedatroyee. And also, if you have personally found some websites or other resources on the internet helpful, you can continue using those as well. So my next question is, I am not aware of this. That's the reason I'm asking this question. Are there cutoff marks for every section?
I don't remember, but I'll just check the website, check your admit card, and check your question paper. It'll be written there, but I can't recall if it was there in last year's paper.
Shinjan, do you have any idea about that?
As far as I know, we WBJEE does not have subject-wise cutoff marks or section-wise. So, but I'll still recommend checking the website for the details.
Yeah, the reason I'm asking this is, suppose in the second paper, some student is very comfortable in physics, and he or she answers, a lot many questions in physics, and by that time, he or she doesn't have the time to do enough questions in chemistry. So, is that going to affect selection? That is what precisely I mean.
I do not think that is the case. In WBJEE, I think they just check the overall marks, but I'd still recommend checking the website for the details.
Okay. So please, in addition to what Vedatroyee and Shinjan mentioned, please also check the websites where directions are clearly given. What we know from the website is that mathematics has more weightage than physics and chemistry. So that is something we are emphasizing that no student should neglect at this point of time. Okay, Vedatroyee, can you tell me we know that there are category 1, category 2, category 3 questions. So what are the fundamental differences between those three categories of questions?
The first category is single correct questions which have a negative marking, and category 2 is also single correct questions which have a negative marking, but they're both the positive and the negative marks are higher than category 1. And category 3 is a multiple correct section which has no negative marking.
No, but what I am asking is, what are the question differences in the question type? What are the differences in the question types of the three categories of questions? Shinjan, would you like to answer?
Uh, well, the category 1 questions are single correct questions, as you have already said. So they usually come from all parts of the syllabus. Category 2 questions are similar, but they are, higher stake questions, a bit difficult.
So do they require more working out?
Not really. They usually require more concept clarity.
Okay, more
So-
conceptual clarity.
Yeah. So, not very numerically heavy questions or those,
Okay,
but
okay,
a bit more conceptual clarity.
okay. And what about category 3 questions?
And category 3 questions are, well, similar to category 1 questions, not very difficult, but the multiple correct part is, interesting, because if you get even one option correct, you lose all marks for the question. So,
Okay, but then would you advise students to do, some kind of guesswork? Maybe intuitively they feel that a particular answer may be correct, but they are not absolutely sure of it. Would you recommend students to do a guesswork because there is no negative marking in the category 3?
right. So in category 3, there can be multiple options correct, as the name suggests. So if you if you feel that you can't decide if, like, any option is, you can't guarantee that any option is correct out of the 4, so maybe you can guess there. But if, let's say, you are sure that 2 of the options are correct, but you feel that a third option might be correct, so guesswork there would be kind of foolish, because if it is not correct, you lose the marks for the 2 options you had marked correct. But even if you leave them, you get partial marking for the ones you did mark correct.
Okay, that was really helpful. So, do you recall your feelings on the day before the exam, Vedatroyee?
I don't believe that there were any outstanding feelings. I think I was more concerned about the high temperatures the next day. It was a very
Yeah.
hot summer.
Okay, what about you, Shinjan? What were your
Uh,
emotions and how did you handle those emotions?
Yeah, so basically, the eve before the exam, you might be a bit stressed out. So what I did was, I did not study that evening. I completed, like, everything by morning, and even if I had some doubts left, I just decided that the evening was not for studying, and I spent some time relaxing and just clearing my mind. And I think it's important that you get a good night's sleep before the examination.
Yes, that is something very, very important. I couldn't agree more with Shinjan. A good night's sleep is very, very important on the exam eve. Okay. Vedatroyee, I would now like to ask you that in order to maximize their scores on the day of the exam, how should students, formulate their strategies around selecting and answering questions?
Well, I would say start attempting the questions. If you cannot solve a question, leave it for the time being and come back to it later if you have the time. And you should not panic under any circumstances. If you can't solve a question, it's okay, leave it for now. Come back to it later if you have the time. Focus on the questions you can solve. And if you find that a question is unnecessarily lengthy, I would say leave it and focus on solving a couple more questions which you can solve in the same time in which you would solve that one lengthy question.
Thank you. Shinjan, what would be your recommendations for maximizing the scores?
Yeah, right. As Vedatroyee has already said, skipping the very hard questions or questions you can't really attempt at that time is important, but that does not mean go through the start going through the entire paper looking for singular problems you can solve very easily. I think it's important to go through the paper like numerically as is presented, and when you come across a question that is unnecessarily tough, or you feel that it's going to take a very long time to solve, you skip that question and move on to the next one. And let's say there might be some, if there are questions that are very numerically demanding and you have to perform a lot of calculations, you can perform a bit of approximations, and let's say the options are far apart enough that you can successfully easily rule out a couple of options that way.
Right. So, as you both have highlighted, that time management is very, very important, right? For WBJE as well as other similar exams.
Exactly.
So, what are the special problem solving techniques one needs to apply for effective time management? Can you give some examples, Vedatroyee?
Well, as I already mentioned, the first thing should be you should not panic. Panicking wastes a lot of time. Focus on the questions you can solve. Again, don't, as Shinjan has said, don't go looking through the paper for a particular question you can solve. Attempt the questions. Think of it as a problem. It needs to be solved. Just attempt it. If you can't do it, leave it and go on to the next one. And I believe consistently doing problems like this will be an effective time management strategy.
In addition to what you said, Vedatroyee, what I would like to emphasize on is, say, suppose a problem is solved in 10 steps, but in a competitive exam where the time constraint is there, you have to finish a lot many questions in a small amount of time. So, are there techniques which one can apply to solve the problem in maybe 3 steps instead of 10 steps? And if you remember some of them, can you just elaborate for the benefit of our viewers?
Well, if you have practiced solving that particular kind of problem in 3 steps, you can do it. But there is no
So,
specific way of
okay.
magically shortening 10 steps to 3 steps on the day of the examination.
No,
Then and there.
so when one is practicing Shinjan, so when we are, preparing for this kind of an examination, so do we need to, also learn some shortcuts, techniques, or steps which might be helpful?
Uh, well, that completely depends on the individual. As gave the examination, I did not focus on learning shortcut tricks or, well, let's say some shortening processes, because I felt that the effort that I would have to put to learn those strategies, I could use them better to actually get better with the subject itself. And yeah, that's it.
That's a very intelligent answer. I like that. And are you allowed to use a virtual calculator or a real calculator?
No, that's not allowed in the examination. So you'll have to perform, if there are lengthy calculations, you'll have to perform them by hand.
Okay.
And then again, you can use a bit of approximation if the answers are really far apart options.
Okay. So students, please note that you should be able to solve the problems on your own without the help of calculators. Okay, my next question is, paper 2 has 2 sections, physics and chemistry. So what would be your advice with which section the student should start? Should the student start with physics or chemistry, or the area in which he or she is more comfortable?
I think the student should start with whatever he or she is comfortable in doing first. I started with chemistry, I finished it, and then I moved on to physics, so I could solve that. But it completely depends on the individual. I would say do whatever you're comfortable in first and then move on to the other one.
What is your opinion, Shinjan?
Yeah, definitely you should focus on what you're comfortable with first, and let's say move on to the other one following. So what I did, was more comfortable with doing physics first, so I did it that way, and then chemistry. So you can see that there are two opposing views, so basically choose whatever you are comfortable with.
Okay. Thank you so much. Vedatroyee, do you recall which problem you found most difficult in either physics or maths or chemistry?
Well, I believe the mathematics and all the papers actually were moderate. They were neither too hard nor too easy. I believe I had a bit of trouble with the organic chemistry part,
Okay.
but otherwise it was okay. More or less, it was moderate.
So, what were the type of questions from organic chemistry which were on the which were on the difficult side?
Well, there were a lot of questions from organic chemistry. I can't recall the exact ones I found a bit challenging, but yeah, organic chemistry usually has a vast spread of questions to pick from.
All right. Thank you, Vedatroyee. What about you, Shinjan? Any question you found most difficult in physics or chemistry or mathematics?
Uh, well, most of the questions were, not very difficult, so they were easily solvable. Not very easily, but they were okay. But I think I did encounter a bit of problem with, the coordinate geometry problems from maths, mostly because they demand, you to uh, memorize a lot of formulae for the various things, and also because they might require a bit of calculations, and the integration part, if the integrands are very big and lengthy, those also get the calculations get messy. So the integration things I usually left to the end, and yeah, that's it. And just another thing to note is that in WBJ the questions aren't necessarily hard. You're not fighting the questions itself, you're fighting time. So yeah, that's it.
So, we could not emphasize time management more. So, please note, students, that this is an exam where time management is very, very crucial and critical. Also, students, I would advise you to follow our Facebook page of Techno India University regularly. As you have seen that Vedatroyee and Shinjan both have provided you very insightful views on the way to tackle the exam. After the results are declared, we will also bring guests to handle your queries regarding counseling and admission. So follow our Facebook page regularly. Okay. So, more or less, we have talked about the various strategies, techniques students need to apply in these last 15 days, and what should be good enough for them to do well in the examinations. Is there something more which you would like to add other than the questions which we have discussed?
Well, like I've already said, it's not something new that I'm adding, but like I've been emphasizing all evening, focus on doing the PYQs now. At this last minute, that's going to help you the most.
All right. Anything you would like to add, Shinjan?
Not really something new, but as you're solving the past year questions, you might come across certain topics that you're not very comfortable with. So you might want to devise a cheat sheet, or basically, let's say, a formula sheet for the various chapters. You just go through the chapters and you make a sheet for them. And once you find that you're not comfortable with certain topics, you just visit the cheat sheet, and it's considerably easier than going through the entire chapter. So yeah.
Okay, my next question to Vedatroyee. After writing the examinations, were you pretty confident to be able to successfully overcome?
I actually was not really very focused on the results. I had many upcoming exams as well, so I was more focused on preparing for those.
So, okay, so you just looked ahead instead of brooding
Yeah.
on whether the exam went fine
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
or not. Okay. So, can you recall your feelings just the day before the results were supposed to be declared?
Um, I had actually forgotten when the results were supposed to be declared. Actually, it was my parents who told me, like, the day after the results have been declared, that this has been your result.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And what were your reactions after knowing the results?
I was like, okay, this is good, but I need to focus on studying for the next exam, which was,
Okay,
yeah.
so that is really very wise and very thoughtful of Vedatroyee not to focus on the results, just to focus on the examinations. And even after she had, such a high rank, she felt that she should focus on studying better in the days ahead. So that's really nice. What about you, Shinjan? What were your feelings just a day before the exam?
Uh, the day before the exam, like
No,
the
sorry, the day
results.
before the results were declared. I'm so
Yeah,
sorry.
so basically the thing is, like, of course we were all looking forward to the results, but we were not really worried about it, or very excited about it, because uh, to be honest, I still had a couple exams to be given, so yeah, I was kind of busy at that time.
Okay, and after you got to know your results, what were your reactions?
uh, of course I was really happy, and family was also very happy. And the best thing about it was that even if I had a lot of not a lot, a couple exams still left, but I was kind of relieved, because I knew I had something to fall back on. Like, the results of WBJE were something that like I could fall back on, even if other exams did not go that well.
Vedatroyee, do you remember the expressions on your parents' face the day the results were declared?
Um, I I think they were very happy, but they also encouraged me to focus on my next examinations. So yeah, we just saw it and we were all happy, but we shelved it to focus on my upcoming tests.
Yeah, that's really nice. Shinjan, do you remember the reactions on your parents' face?
Yeah, they were extremely happy, and they started crying actually. So basically, my father, he had just said that if you want to, like, get a very good position, and if you want to pursue computer science from Jadavpur University, you need to score a rank of at most, like, uh, 75, like 75 or lower. And when no, none of us were actually expecting that the exam went that well, because on the day of the examination I was pretty disheartened. My maths exam did not go very well, but well, uh, whatever happened, and they were extremely happy that.
And again, we should all remember that this is not a pass or fail exam. This is a competitive examination. So it's not what is your absolute score which matters, but what is your relative score with
Exactly.
respect to the other competitors, right?
Right.
So even if you feel personally that you haven't done well in mathematics, probably you did better than the other examinees, right?
Right.
Okay. So, as both Shinjon and Vedatroyee have mentioned that the parents were very happy, and the parents also play a very important role in this journey of 12 years from grade 1 to grade 12. And we also need to talk to the parents, talking about their emotions. So very soon we are going to launch a section for the parents diary, so you will be notified about that on our Facebook page. So now we will open up for questions from the audience if there is any question. So there are no questions, it seems. What role did teachers play in your entire education journey from class 1 to 12 and also in helping you crack the joint entrance examination?
Uh, Definitely a very big role. You know, teachers, they definitely played a big role in, both shaping, uh, how good of a student I am, or well, let's say as even as a person, or yeah. And in the last 2 years or 3 years that I've been preparing for this examination, teachers have, well, let's say, guided me and helped me in all different ways, even ways that, let's say, non-academic ways, like motivating me and all. So yeah, they have played a very big role.
Would you like to thank anyone in particular?
uh Not really anyone in particular, because there are a lot of teachers that have played a very big role in my life. So yeah.
So you can thank all of them.
Okay. So I'd like to thank my physics teacher, who took my physics in 11th and 12th. He was Abhishek sir. And also Dilip sir, who took chemistry. And well, not only just physics, chemistry, and maths, I would also like to thank my English teacher, uh, who, well, English might not be a subject that is in many competitive exams, but I feel that, Chonda ma'am, she taught me English from ninth till 12th. I think she played a very big role in shaping what kind of a person I am. So, yeah.
So thank you very much, Shinjan, from my side for highlighting the contribution of your English teacher because language and mathematics are the basic building blocks.
Yeah.
If one is not good in language, one cannot master any other subject. So this is something students must be very, very, mindful about. Though we have only 15 days left for the exam, one might say it is, too late to start learning a language properly. But what we could do is on the day of the examination, read the problem very carefully, read the language very carefully, and make sure that you do not miss out vital parameters of the problem. Understanding the verbatim of the problem is also very crucial and the first step in problem solving. Vedatroyee, would you like to, do you remember the contribution of some of your teachers who you think helped you become who you are today?
Yeah, I had a lot of teachers who have essentially shaped me into the person I am today. So their contribution is huge, it's immeasurable, and I can't really say something that can encapsulate what they have done for me.
Thank you so much. Shinjan, can you tell our students something about the counseling process post declaration of results?
So the counseling process for me was pretty smooth because, uh, after the results got declared, we waited for the date of the counseling, and well, once the counseling results were released, we went on the website, we checked, and well, I had got computer science in Jadavpur straight away, so I did not really think much of it. I was happy, yeah. So that's all.
Vedatroyee, how did the counseling process unfold for you in particular, and what would be your general advice for students who, who have different ranks during the counseling process?
I actually had received electronics as first because my rank was 153, and I got computer science in the second round of counseling. And I would suggest while filling out your branch stream options, there will be a chart where you can fill out whatever streams you want to take. I would suggest always keep as many contingencies as you can, as you can safely put it. So I believe I had computer science and electronics and instrumentation, I had personally put those three in. And I got electronics on my first round, and I got CSE in my second round. So, yeah.
Okay. Shinjan, which subject should one emphasize more in the during the last minute preparation, in the last league rather?
Well, I would recommend that students focus on all three subjects equally, but considering that we have double the weightage in maths, well, while solving the PYQs, you will be doing a lot of maths, and you might be encountering a lot of subjects that topics that you are not comfortable with. So yeah, you need to focus on maths, but don't leave out physics or chemistry for that matter.
Okay. What is your view, Vedatroyee?
Oh, well, like Shinjan already said, mathematics is definitely important, but also focus on the subject you are most strong in, because that's where you'll get the most marks. But obviously, since mathematics has a larger weightage, you'll get more marks for if you focus on mathematics as
Yes, that is something we all must note, that one paper is devoted to mathematics and it has a greater weightage. So that is something which we cannot ignore. Okay, we are almost nearing the end of our show. I would once again, though you have discussed, we have discussed this, but I would once again like you both to reiterate for the sake of our students that what is the difference in the way one should study during the last minute and the way one studies initially when one is new to the topic.
well. When you're new to the topic, you should focus on learning it, like learning the basic concepts, the fundamentals, like as well as you can. It doesn't matter at initially how fast or slow you solve a question, as long as you know the concepts behind it. But during last minute preparations, you have to focus more on solving tactics and formulae and stuff like that. Like,
Shinjan, would you like to add anything more to that?
Yeah, when you're new to a topic, well, you basically start by solving a lot of easy questions and gradually move on to the harder ones. And, well, even solve some questions that are, well, let's say too hard to even come in the exam for just conceptual clarity and stuff. But when at this point, when there's hardly 15 days left for the examination, I think it is more important to focus on questions that usually come in the examination, and that will happen when you solve the past year question papers. For, let's say, we have 15 days, so you can solve quite a lot of papers in that time.
All right. So both of you have emphasized that solving the past year's question papers is very, very important. Would you also recommend solving mock tests by enrolling in some institute or subscribing in any of the popular websites, Vedatroyee?
well, I believe if that helps you, sure, go ahead. And you can also like use the past year question papers and solve them on a timed basis. Like you can set a timer for 3 hours, and then you can solve the papers so that you get an idea of how you're going to manage your time during the exam as well.
So did you take any mock tests other than the previous year's question papers?
No, I did not.
Okay, what about you, Shinjan?
As Vedatroyee has said, solve the papers on a timed basis. And personally, I did not do anything else other than solve the papers. I believe like 15 days before the examination, I had my JEE mains paper 2, and I had 15 days for preparation for WBJEE, and in that time I only did the past year question papers for the last few years for WBJEE, and that has helped a lot.
Okay. So, my next question is, are there any special tricks which you would recommend or special techniques by which which students can use to remember formulae, or do you think a good understanding of the fundamental concepts and knowing the derivation of all the important theorems and formulae, that gives a sound understanding so that one remembers the formula instead of mere rote learning. What is your opinion, Vedatroyee?
Well, if you have an in-depth understanding of the concepts, you'll definitely find it easier to memorize the formula because you know where the formula comes from. But if it's in a chapter, like Shinjan already said, that you haven't studied or you don't know, and you have created a formula sheet for that chapter, in that case, you're going to have to use rote memorization to memorize the formula. But you also must know where to apply the formulas, even if you do not know the concepts behind them.
Yeah, that is very important. So, if some chapter is new to you, which you have not done earlier, you can just, instead of doing an in depth study in the last few days, for those chapters, instead of skipping them altogether, you can make a list of the formulae. But please remember the applications of those formulae. That is what Vedatroyee says. Would you also say the same thing, Shinjon?
Yeah, definitely the same thing, and I don't think I have a lot to add in there.
Okay, this is the end of our show. We thanks to both Shinjan and Vedatroyee for giving such valuable insights to our student viewers. Students, we will come back again tomorrow with another episode of our show tomorrow morning from 10:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. with two more students who have cracked the JEE mains and are currently pursuing their engineering courses in NIT Durgapur. Thank you everyone. Wish you all a very good night.